This building is the final resting place of the wishes, aspirations and hopes of millions of British people. And I'm going to go inside and find out some of its secrets.
These boxes don't just contain the wills of ordinary people.
Among these rows and rows of files are the last wishes of some of the greatest icons of British history, men and women who created our national story. And it's in death, through their wills, that I think we can find new secrets behind those legends.
Our first will belongs to a real force of nature who shook up the Victorian age.
This is the last will and testament of Florence Nightingale.
They called her the Lady with the Lamp. For Florence, the lamp went out in 1910 at the grand old age of 90.
She describes herself in the first line as Florence Nightingale, spinster. Because there's no children, it means that she can leave a lot of money and gifts to individuals and to charities that are important to her. Florence could afford to be generous. She came from a rich family and her estate at death was valued at around £36,000. That's around £12 million in today's money. But the part of this will that fascinates me is here on page 2. So she writes that she's leaving £150 to one Peter Grillitsch from Balaclava. Now, Balaclava was one of the great battles in the Crimean War, and that was the conflict in which Florence Nightingale had become a household name. She must have nursed thousands of soldiers during that conflict. So you have to wonder, who was Peter Grillitsch? And why is it that half a century later, he's important enough to her for her to leave him money in her will?
The answer lies here at Emberley Park in Hampshire. Today it's a school, and former head of history, Dr. Russ Foster, is an expert on the family.
So Russ, we know from Florence Nightingale's will that she leaves money to one Peter Grillitsch. Is he a soldier or a diplomat?
We can say for sure that isn't the case. This is a sketch by Parthenope Nightingale, who was Florence's older sister. And underneath, in fairly faint pencil, Parthenope has written on it, Miss Nightingale's spoils of war. The young lad on the end of the line here is Peter Grillitsch, and it says underneath simply, a little Russian prisoner. He can't be more than 12 or 13, and she's just sort of picked him up off the battlefield, so to speak, and adopts him as one of her waifs and strays. And he clearly takes a liking to her in a big way. And one of the lady nurses asked where he would go if he was a good boy when he died. He answered, to Miss Nightingale.
So he